The home of the son of the late former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe remains under police guard as investigations into yesterday's shooting incident continues. Mugabe's son and another suspect were taken into custody after a gardener was shot and critically injured during an alleged altercation. Both suspects face attempted murder charges and are being held at the Bramley police station. An attorney for one of the suspects, Sinenhlanhla Mnguni, says he's awaiting the conclusion of the police investigation and are therefore unable to disclose further details at this stage. Police have confirmed that the gun used in the incident is still missing. The suspects are expected to appear in the Alexandra Magistrates Court on Monday. And for more on this, we are now joined by SABC News specialist correspondent Sophie Mokoena for an in-depth analysis on the Mugabe House shooting and when it comes to the diplomatic privileges, what sort of avenues can the former president of Zimbabwe's son enjoy? And we are now joined in studio by Sophie Mokoena. Of course, Sophie, there are many questions around this issue when it comes to the shooting, but most importantly, many asking about diplomatic immunity. Can it apply here?
It can't apply here. You know that the Immunity Act of 2001, that is Immunity Act 37, indicates that immunity can be extended to a diplomat or an official at the mission. That would be your embassy or your high commissioner. And secondly, the special envoys or the sitting heads of state. And lastly, the officials of the United Nations. And therefore, former President Robert Mugabe's son is not an official. Secondly, he's not a sitting head of state, neither is he an official of the UN or an envoy. And therefore, he can't enjoy the privileges. But what we do know is that in terms of Zimbabwe, there are privileges that they were accorded to the former first family, because President Emmerson Mnangagwa, the current president, didn't want a situation where he is seen as someone who is hostile to the previous first family, particularly as it relates to ZANU-PF politics. And therefore, when they are back home, there are certain privileges that they enjoy. But the High Commissioner or the embassy in South Africa of Zimbabwe can go and see him wherever he is. As you know that any citizen of any country, when you are in distress, you are having challenges in a foreign country, there's what we call consular assistance. And consular assistance doesn't mean that you would break the law of that particular country. It will entail perhaps getting consular assistance in terms of legal assistance, but secondly, you need food, you need clothes. As we know that they are going to spend days now in custody. They will only appear on Monday, and the likelihood of them getting even bail or discussions around bail, because there's still investigations that are continuing, it's zero. Particularly because the gun, the alleged gun that was used during this incident, they are still searching for that gun, and therefore the investigations are still underway. Just a few minutes before I came in here, I saw the reports that somebody is now taken to the house to go, and they have brought somebody in who is allegedly being identified as the owner of the house, to go and do further investigation. So we don't know who is this owner of the house, whether they had hired the house or this was Mugabe's family house in South Africa. We know they do have assets around the world, and it's not clear whether this was the house that is part of the assets that the family has in South Africa, but that's the latest. And as long as that gun is not available, the investigations are going to continue. Secondly, the person who's injured, you would recall we were told that he was taken to the hospital. There's no word yet from officials because people will try and protect him because he's almost like your important eyewitness. They took a statement apparently yesterday, and therefore they will try to ensure that nothing happens to him, and also to ensure that you are able to secure his statement.
And Sophie, what reaction are we getting from Zimbabwe? And I ask this at the same time, we know that their mother, the former First Lady of Zimbabwe, Grace Mugabe, she has a warrant of arrest in South Africa. What is the word we are hearing that can she even make her way to South Africa under that cloud?
She can't make her way to South Africa because immediately if she arrives in the country, there's no way AfriForum will stand by and watch. I guess even now AfriForum is watching this case to ensure that something of that nature doesn't happen. And secondly, it will be very difficult for her. We are told, I spoke to people who are very close to the family, that he had some health challenges some few months ago, and therefore this incident didn't sit well with her because she has been trying to speak to the children, these two boys, because they've always been in trouble in Zimbabwe and also in South Africa in terms of their behavior. But children being children, they continued. Even recently, he spoke to this boy or this son, talking to him, making him aware that behavior is quite important, but it looks like he didn't listen. But we don't know what happened, and as long as the gun is not there and nothing is before us, we'll hear better information, get better information on Monday when they appear in court. And secondly, I think the family, some of family members will come to South Africa. And the only person who can come is Bona, former President Robert Mugabe's daughter. And she is someone who's very responsible, and I think is the only person who can come and check what's happening, and also some family members.
All right, Sophie, thank you so much for that update. That's SABC News' specialist correspondent, Sophie Mokoena, just bringing us the latest update when it comes to that shooting that took place at the Mugabe residence in Hyde Park.